joining us today for another episode of What's Your Why Wednesday. Today, I am joined by the wonderful Debi Guiffre. She is the branch manager at Nexa Mortgage. Well, Debi, thank you so much for joining us today, and we're going to dive right in. Most of us came into this wonderful industry by accident, but we stayed in the industry because it's tied to our personal and professional why. So Debi, at this time, I'd love to hear, what is your why?
Well, thank you, Laura, for having me here today and giving me this opportunity to talk about my why. It has been a journey. I did fall into the mortgage industry by accident, as you say. So I feel amongst friends, you know, when we talk about that. My journey was more of a I came into the mortgage industry following a personal relationship and providing support and lending my background in financial analysis and credit analysis and things like that. It just seemed like, okay, I can do this with you and it'll be a good fit and we'll be this great team. And, you know, lo and behold, the personal relationship kind of ran its course and I'm no longer in that. And I did find myself sitting there wondering, what is my why? We talk about that a lot in a lot of our groups, professionally and personally, you know? And so I had to step back and I really had to consider, what is my why? Why am I still getting up every day? Why am I still taking the courses? Why am I going to coaching? Why am I marketing, you know, something I don't really know why I'm doing it? And it was good for me to take a pause and just go back to who I am. And at my core, I have been raised and I have lived a life of like serving others, helping others where I can, you know, not that I'm the smartest person in the room, but I might have something that can help someone. And so had a very long career as a civil servant for the government. And I worked in like rural America and helping people with like small businesses. And then it just, as soon as I started remembering who I was, it all made sense to me about my why. You know, I want to help the people who want to buy a home, whether it's their first home, whether they're getting a larger home because their family's expanding, or I help someone who's downsizing a little bit, you know, and that feeling of being, it's like a feeling of gratitude that you're able to work with people and you see the smile on their face and you know you're helping them realize one of their dreams. And then that just became my why. And it's what I do every day as I look to help the people that either no one else will help or they just think they can't own a home. And I can kind of show them that, like, you really can do this. Here are the steps. And that's become my why, is back to my core of helping people.
So let me ask you, and that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story. I'm curious, did you have to kind of step off the treadmill of life in order to realize down to your core, what your why was? Like, I'm curious about that because it almost seems like, you know, because every time I love listening to people's stories. I think we all learn so much, you know, by listening to others. And I hear a lot of, sometimes when you're caught in this routine of the same, sometimes you lose sight of that core. So what did you have to do to get that?
It's not a pretty story. I've literally kind of had a breakdown. I had a moment when I was ready to walk away because I didn't know why I was doing this. And I felt very deep in, and I felt like I knew I had to go deeper to really make this work, to really be the kind of loan officer someone needs that cares and understands them. I knew I had to go deeper. And I honestly didn't know if I had that energy. And I didn't know, I knew I didn't have the focus. And so I had to call a coach and say, I'm ready to quit. I don't think I can do this. And I was blessed by the fact that my coach knew better and said, no. You're just having a lot going on and we need to just break down your life. Let's just address each thing. And then you decide, because everything I was talking about really didn't have to do with the job, right? It was more about the personal struggles I was having. And so when I was given that opportunity to talk to someone who then didn't know me. They aligned me with someone who literally didn't know me at all. But as soon as we started talking, you know, the coach said, okay, but what's the problem? Okay, but what's the problem? Like, okay, we've addressed that. So what, and I kind of ran out of excuses, they almost sounded like, right? And he said, you need to, like, 24 hours, all you need to think about is like, can you do this? Do you want to do it? Do you have one nugget to hold on to of something good that you've already done that makes you feel like this is what you want to do? So I did have to stop. I had a good, it probably took me a week before I decided I wasn't going to stop doing this, and I wanted to work with people. And when I came out of that, it was literally that figuratively, like, fog was lifted. I could see things clear. It was like having a new pair of glasses on.
Yeah.
It made sense. It felt right. And I knew why I was doing it. The phone all of a sudden started ringing. Realtors are sending me people. Hey, I got this person. They need a little, you're the perfect person for that, for them. Like, you listen, you talk. And I thought, wow, I'm so glad that as much as it felt like failing in the moment, I'm so glad I allowed myself, and others encouraged me to take that moment and just get off the treadmill, as you said, and plant my feet and take a breath and just, who am I? You know, who is Debbie and what does she stand for? And is this how you want to use her?
Debbie, when was this? I'm curious, like, what timeline is this?
So I have been in the mortgage industry for like 6 months, you know, and it was overwhelming in so many ways. There were a lot of demands on me from coaches, from the company, you know, myself, and then you have clients, and and you're like, and I'm a single person. While I'm a branch manager, I mean, we don't have like a branch staff, you know, so I answer my own phone. I manage my own calendar. I set my own meetings. I'm processing my own
chief cook and bottle washer, right? You're all of it, right?
And so, you know, it was like, wow, can I really do this? Like, I mean, I am not a person who looks down on myself. I've had a great career, that I've done many things I never thought I could do. So I have proven to myself time and time again, I have what it takes. But it was emotionally a moment when I truly had to stop and say, and getting off the treadmill, I mean, I do want to clarify, it wasn't like just about work. Getting off the treadmill of life, of every single thing that was happening to me personally and professionally, you know, all my friendships, all my relationships, my family, my pets. I mean, I literally kind of had to get off the entire treadmill and ask people for help. Like, hey, can somebody keep everybody else alive while I just take a moment to assess? And you know, too often people don't afford themselves that opportunity.
They don't. And it's so important. And as you were speaking about having that new perspective, the word that was coming into my mind was clarity. It's like all of a sudden you had clarity, right? Because yes, I think we all can relate to exactly what you were saying about that fog, because when things are misaligned, when things just don't feel right, it does feel like it's almost like being a zombie, right? You're kind of like walking through life, like you're doing the steps and you know, it looks like everything's okay, but it's not okay. But kudos to you for number one, recognizing, number two, taking the time to give yourself permission to get off that treadmill of life, not just of business, and be able to say, no, I need to get myself in order, because once I have myself in order, then I can take care of the pets and the business and the family and everyone else. And that is a lesson for everyone needs to hear that, because unless we're in order, the other stuff, we're really not at our best.
Right.
Wow.
And we all want to be our best. I think we just lose sight of that sometimes. And again, I'm very grateful that the people around me were like, whoa, hold up. We got you. This is what you need to do. And so that was really, I was in the right place, surrounded by the right people. You know, my professional coaches, my personal friends, and and it really helped.
That's awesome. All right.
Like,
Now, all right. So we established you found your why, or you realigned your why. You probably had it at one point, but you realigned it. You realize now that you are there to serve, you're there to help, you're there to educate, all of that. So Debbie, I'd love to hear a story. We all have those families that and stories that just touch us, that we will always remember, where we know that monumental impact we've made. Can you share one of those stories with us?
Absolutely. I had the absolute pleasure of working with this young family who had an almost 2-year-old. They had been renting, forever, their adult life. They'd never owned. And he just very quietly reached out to me with like, is this even possible? Like, I don't really make a lot of money. I don't, and they were very like humble and gracious people who were not looking for much. I mean, they just were the sweetest couple. And, I got their information and I said, well, yeah. And he was like, really? I was like, no, really. And from the time we made that decision until the time they had keys in their hand going into their first home was about, I think it was like 63 days.
Wow.
From the day they did it, they found a house. We did the inspections, and this was like a USDA loan, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're not going to get that done." I said, "You watch me."
That's awesome.
If I have to call USDA myself, like watch, and I did all that, and I sit at the settlement table with them, and they were just so thankful to me. They were saying that, yes, I do it kind of, I did it for them, but the way they expressed their gratitude was just overwhelming. And I went a few weeks after they moved in and took them a housewarming gift. And the little one his birthday party was the next day. I mean, he was just turning 2 and he was so excited. He was taking me around the house to show me all his favorite things in this new little house and how he loved his front porch. His front porch was his play place. I mean, they were almost still in tears over the fact that they were homeowners and able to give their son, a home to live in. I mean, that's the fuel that keeps me going,
That is why we do this. That is exactly right. And that changed that family forever. Yes. I mean, that changed, and it's funny. Fabi was from First Option, was on What's Your Why? And I remember him telling me a story of one of his very first closings. This was like 25 years ago. 25 years ago, he told the story about a little boy that was 6 years old that spoke about having his own room. And I think about that all these years later, that child is now grown. That child probably has his own house now, but that child grew up with the parents owning the home, with the mindset that when you grow up, you save your money, you get a job, you have your own house, you build a family growing up in that house. Like, it changes everything. And you did that for that family. You helped that family, and that little boy will grow up with that mindset for the next generation. Oh, it's amazing.
It's just wondrous when you have that kind of impact. And again, how not only grateful they were, the father that was involved was like, thank you so much for helping them. You're so kind. I mean, so it was more about, hey, nobody was thanking me that I got them a great rate or that I closed early. That was not what was out of their mouth. They were literally saying, thank you for making it easy, answering all our questions, being at the settlement table. We didn't realize you were going to be at, and I'm like, well, I need to be there if you have any questions. I'm not done till you're in your home. And when people thank you very specifically for the things that are really who you are, not what you do, that is what penetrates me deeper, right? It's great if you have a great rate or we closed fast, but like when you tell me thank you for holding my hand through this process or keeping it simple or not overwhelming us, that's hard to put a price on.
100%. And that's a lasting impact. That's the lasting impact. That's exactly right. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. So we've established how you came in, how you found your why, give us a wonderful story. And then to wrap it up, what do you want to leave behind in our industry? What do you want your legacy to be? After the days of it's time for you to move on out of the industry.
You know, I want people to know that mortgage brokers, like, we actually care, right? We care about the people we're working with. It's not a paycheck. You know, it's not a race to beat the competitor to get the whatever. That, especially the people I work with, right? I want them to talk about the, you know, Debi, she cared. She cared. We don't hear those stories from other people. Like, I want to leave that you can actually do this job, be very successful, but care about the people that you're working for and getting them into their home, but from a place of caring and compassion. You know, for me, it feels like servitude. Like, again, I'm a civil servant. Like, I just was raised to serve others. So it just feels like that's what I'm here to do, right? I'm here to do the best for you and make it simple and make it easy. And that's what I want to be remembered for. And that's, you know, that's what I want more mortgage brokers to be remembered for, because I want to hear it as a common theme that, oh yeah, mine did that too. Oh, really? Oh, mine, you know, that to me is where we can really make a difference in this industry.
Agreed. And it's funny, Debi, that's how What's Your Why came about, because I decided that I wanted to spotlight mortgage professionals in a way that maybe people haven't heard before, to realize that we do this because we care so much, because we want to make a difference in the world, because we want to educate and we want to support and we want to show families that they can do it. Even if they can't do it today, we can help them and educate them and support them so that in the future they're ready to be able to be homeowners. And we will be with those families through generations, you know, whether it's refinancing, whether it's that second home, whether it's time to send those kids to college and we need to take some cash out, whatever it is, we're going to be there for them. So yes, we thank you for your care, for your compassion, for your servitude, because yes, that is what it's about. And thank you so much for sharing your why and all of your perspective with us today.
Thank you, Laura.